When you ask strangers who are the Urhobo people, they will tell you that the Urhobo peoples are those who majorly inhabit the northwestern Niger Delta, and they're made up of 24 kingdoms. Well, you are right, but Urhobo is bigger than this. The Urhobos believe in the supreme deity known as Oghéné. Until today, there are people who are also Urhobos who also believe in this supreme deity known as Oghéné. But the Urhobos found that still bears the name Urhobos are the one who had proper etymology of the word Oghéné. Right now, we are not talking about Oghéné, we are talking about Urhobos. But let me just give you an etymology of the word Oghéné. Then we go back to how the name Urhobo came. Oghéné simply means Ogaga Reni, the four powers that the people of Urhobo believes in. What is the four powers? In number numerals of Urhobo, when we say Ovu, Ive, Era, Eni, Irin, Esan, Igwe, Erin, Irin, Ikwe, you can say the fourth one is called Eni. Now, the word power, to show energy towards something, making it to happen, is what we know as Ogaga in Urhobo language. There was something that happened that made this name Oghéné to come, and what the Urhobo people believe until today. Oghéné, you see, came from the word Ogaga Reni. Let's separate this word Ogaga Reni. As I said, Ogaga means what? Power. Ene means four. The Urhobo people believed that when you as a person leave this particular world, there is somewhere you will go to. When you are good, you will come back to this life. A reincarnation, you will come back to this life. This is what we refer to Obiojuwu then, before the Europeans came and told us that Obiojuwu is heaven. Originally, we come back to this world. Again, when you are a good person. And these are known as our ancient beliefs in the past, even until date, until European came with Christianity and mentality were changed to believe that you go to heaven. Now, we know that to be what? Obiojuwu. Urhobo believe that when you as a person, when you are evil, when you are bad, when you are not found in this world anymore, that means the demise of you, you will go to a place known as Erimi and suffer it. Your spirit will suffer and you will never return to this world to enjoy. This is what we know as Erimi, the spirit. So there is a power that controls it, that controls Erimi. There's a power that controls the reincarnation to come back to this life again. This power is known as Ogaga. Also, the Urhobo people believe that this world that we are living in now, presently, there's a spirit that controls us. This spirit that controls us is the power of this earth, which is known as Ogagaroto. The Urhobo people also believe that there is a spirit that controls water. There is God in water. It's called Ogagahe, Ogagaurie, the God of the river, Ogagaurie. In combination, this is what we know today as Ogagareni, this four power, the four power that controls the world. So wherever you see the word Oghéné, it simply means Ogagareni, not Ogohene. This was what was written and put in so many books by the British because of for some of the word that Yorubas told them, because this was Yoruba interpretation. But Yoruba don't practice and don't believe in Oghéné. So why would they be the one to explain Oghéné to the British? I told you guys that Yorubas were favored 1825, 1835. The attack of Alimi El Saleh towards Oyo. Oyo are the one referred to Yoruba people. The rest are not Yoruba people. And when the British came in 1850, they restored them, put them together. Later on, one of the sons, Samuel Bishop Ajayi Crowther, who was born around 1846, was trained by the missionaries, and later on it was used to revive back the Oyo people, and many people who were regarded as Yoruba people today, were brought together by the British. You can see how it happens. Now, let's come back to what connects us to history. With that event that happened, the British used the opportunity for Samuel Bishop Ajayi Crowther to write so many things. And many Yoruba people wrote so many things concerning Benin, Urhobo, Esan, Esako. In fact, they did damage to our history. So it is not Oghéné. So you as an Urhobo man that believes it's Oghéné, no, it is Ogagarene, the four powers of those words. And I have explained this to you, and this is what you as a person believe in. There is no belief that Urhobo had than water, than this particular earth that we have, than your spirit coming back again to live, than your spirit also going down and being condemned. This is the four powers we believe on. When you do good, you come. When you do bad, you condemn. And there is a power that controls me right now as I'm here. And also, there's a power in the water as well. This is what we believe on. And it's known as Ogagarene, which is shortened to Oghéné, Oghéné, you see today. This is the meaning, and this is the word. Remember, our reverend figure, which is known as Paidu, the ancestors of the Benin people, Urhobo people, Esako people, Esan people, Isoko people, Owan, Ekpeye, Ogba, Ikwere, Apetisa, Degema, so on and so forth, spread across, even far Ghana, to Cote d'Ivoire, to Togo, to Benin Republic. The ancestor of these people is known as Oghéné. It's known as Paidu. And Paidu believed in this supreme deity known as Oghéné. In fact, where our father Paidu was buried in Uhe, in the current day Omala local government area of Kogi State, was referred to as Oghéné Ruhe. That particular place. Before later his spirit was revoked back to the present day Benin by Oba Eware the Great Ogidigon, who ruled from 1440 to 1473. Now, let's take you back. You see the word Oghéné, how it became. But the people who can give you a proper etymology and who still hold that self-esteem to the word Oghéné, very strong, at least 100%, are the Urhobo people you can find today. And also the Isoko people you can still see today. But the Isoko people were referred as Urhobo people until 1951, 1957, championed by a man known as James Otobo from Uzeri Kingdom, separated and generalized the Uzeri language towards every other Isoko. That was how the Isoko pulled away. If not, they were seen as Urhobo people in the east. We have Western Urhobo and Eastern Urhobo. And there was no account. We were originally called Sobos. No, it is Urhobo. It was corruption by the Europeans, especially when the British. And when the British came, Europeans came, where they could arrive was the Atlantic Ocean territory, meeting with those people that were living there. Today we know them as the Shekiris. And the man known as Dorenuma did so many blunders to the Urhobo people and the Isoko people. Later on, our name were written as Sobos. We were not Sobos. It is called Urhobo. I'm still going to tell you more. What is Saple? What is Saple? Nothing like Saple. It is Uriatele. What is Jese? Nothing like Jese. It is Ijere. What is Otu Jeremy? Otu Jeremy. I mean, want to know to Jeremiah. Nothing like Otu Jeremy. It is called Otu Genwe. What is Ikpesan? It is called Ikpera. Let me tell you something. Today, we have our neighbor who claimed Ikpera to become Ikpesan. Ikpera was founded by Urho. Urho has to be the junior brother of Onire. These are the most noticeable founders of the Udu kingdom you see today. Urho rested in the bank of the Warri River you see today. I'm not going to call it Warri River anymore because we have changed the name of our territory to become Wado. So it is actually known as Wado River. So at the bank of the Wado River, that was where Urho rested and named that place Ikpera. Do you know the meaning of Ikpera? 3 years. Why did he do that? Because there was a place in the Ethiop River, which is known as River Oloku. He also named Ikpera. Until date, that place still there. What happened? Why did he name it that way? There was once upon a time, there was a rebellious chief to Oba Eware the Great Ogidigon. As I told you, ruled from 1440 to 1473. And there was a rebellious chief who was against him, known as Chief Igbide. Chief Igbide was from Erowa. Do not confuse Igbide as kingdom to this name. I will tell you the history of Igbide as a kingdom later. Igbide also break out from Erowa. That is a different history. But there was a particular chief known as Igbide who was from Erowa. This chief was against the reign of Oba Eware the Great. Why was he against him? The reason was because he was supporting the brother of Oba Eware, which is known as Oba Owaifokun, who ruled before Oba Eware. Oba Owaifokun ruled from 1430 to 1440. And this chief was in support of Oba Owaifokun. He never wanted Oba Eware to take over that seat. So with this, when Oba Eware entered the throne and was there, maybe 10 years, I think it was actually 10 years later, he decided, 7 years later rather, he decided to go and capture that particular chief who was against him. His name is known as Igbide, and he sent one of his close friends, not one as well, because two of his close friends, one is known as Oniri, the other one is known as Aka. Oniri had a brother, Aka had a brother. Later on, the one known as Aka, which is known as Akalaka, one of his brothers was referred to as, which the Kwele called today Ochichi, but it's not Ochichi. His name was directly Oshuku, but the Ikwere call him Ochishi. Now, if you come to the other side again, Oniri had a brother which is known as Ovu. Oniri and Ovu moved on to go and search for this rebellious chief. Also, Akalaka also moved with his brother, which was referred to as Oshishi by the Ikwere people, to go and search for this particular rebellious chief. Akalaka and Ochishi never returned. In fact, Akalaka established himself and rested in a place known as Enwe in the present-day Isoko before he moved from there to the present-day Ikwere and had children known as Ekpeye, Ogba, and Ikwere, which are now great and one of the most influential ethnic nationalities in the present-day Niger Delta region of River State. So those places were founded by Akalaka and his children. In fact, children of Akalaka also moved to the present Delta territory to live. This is the history of another day. Elele was a grandson, or rather great-grandson of Akalaka, who also moved to the present Delta, but I will explain it to you later on. Let me leave that. Now let's go back to Oniri and Ovu. Oniri and Ovu was so influential in the history of the present-day Delta, talking about Udu Kingdom. They were the one who were able to bring that guy, that rebellious chief. They did everything possible. So they found that guy, but it was very difficult. So they rested at a place, which they call that place Ikpera. They stayed there for 3 years. You see, they stayed there for 3 years, trying to find this particular rebellious chief across the Ethiopia, within or across the Ethiopia River. So until later on, when they captured this rebellious chief from Erowa, they took this rebellious chief back to Oba Eware, and later on he was unalived. Because of this, what the people found, Oniri and Ovu, in the present Delta territory you see, was so astonishing to them. They saw sharp land, they saw sharp sand, they saw beautiful rivers, and they decided not to go back again. Oba Eware ordered them and empowered them. So that dominance we are taking, they now arrive at the present day Udu and married a woman around that place. That woman, according to history, that she's somehow related to the people of Igbeni in Ijo, and also the Oghéné people as well. Because the Oghéné people, the founders of Oghéné, also settled in the place known as Urhobo before they left that territory and moved to the present day Oghéné kingdom. So when Oniri came, he was powerful with his brother Ovu. They were blessed and they were covered by Oba Eware the Great. You see, you cannot fight them. If you fight them, themselves, they will call the great Oba Eware to come. Because everybody now respect the great Benin kingdom as at that time, before the 1897 saga that happened. So the arrival of Oniri and Ovu in this particular territory known as Udu Kingdom had children, Alaja. Olo, Uhum. These are some of the names of his children. Later on, from these children, 13 communities came. But we are actually talking about the place known as Ikbera, which they rested in the Ethiopian territory. So also, Oniri and Ovo precisely, rested at the place known as Ikbera today, which the Shekiri has changed to become Ikbesan. It was the one that rested and founded that place close to the bank of the Wado River. It was founded by Ovo, not even Oniri. It was founded by Ovo. And Oniri and Ovo are blood brothers. They are originally from the place known as Udo in the present day Edo South. Udo was an ancient town. Udo was like Lagos in those days, where many people come to trade. And it is an Urhobo community who were far away from Ogbenlaka, the ancestral home of both Aka, Efa, and Emein. So these are the place they came from, but they were under the control of Oba Iware, supporting Oba Iware the Great. So Oba Iware the Great blessed them. So they came and established that place, as Ikbera, which today is known as Ikbesan. You can see how the name has been changed. This same Ikbesan is still found in the Ethiopian River today, until date. That is to tell you that the Ikbesan, the Shekiri are telling you, does not belong to them. Once upon a time, there were many Ishekiris, Ulu of Ishekiri, that married from Urhobos. So they now have dominance towards all this territory. But originally, it was not founded by them. Ikbera and many Urhobo communities were founded by core Urhobo people, especially from Udo, Ogbenlaka, and many other places, Orunigbe. This is where they pull out from. These were original communities that are filled up with Urhobo people. Now, let's go down to history, right back. Now, you can see very well that it was not known as Ikbesan, it was known as Ikbera. I just gave you an example. So also, the one they called Uriapele, which was since today to become Sapele. So also, Ugenwe. It is Ugenwe. Oto Ugenwe, not Otu Jeremy. This was how the name Urhobo's community, this was how Urhobo communities were corrupted and was disregarded and was changed by the British in the presence of the man known as Dorenuma. In fact, they find it difficult using R and replace with S. That was how the name came, Sobo. There was one of our particular Urhobo brother who was telling me that we were originally known as Sobo. That is a shame, that is a disgrace. Nothing like Sobo. It was Urhobo. Even the Benin people will tell you that the name we know them to be is Urhobo. And the Benin people, once upon a time, they are seen as Urhobo. What is Urhobo? Urhobo means the lineage of the great traditionalist, of which is known as Paidu. That is the meaning of the word Urhobo. Uro means family gate. Obo means traditionalist or native doctor. And the greatest native doctor we have ever seen is also tally with Noah. Noah had an encounter with God, Oghéné. So also Idu, which we refer to, had an encounter with Oghéné. Idu is the greatest Obo that has ever lived in the West African territory. In fact, in the whole world, is the greatest traditionalist that has ever lived. And this Idu is lineage from his children down, from himself. His father was also an Ubu, a Ray. So from his lineage down, they were seen as Urhobo, the families of traditionalists. So that was how the name came. So even the Benin people, everybody are seen as family of traditionalists. Idu, that is the meaning of the word Urhobo. And on this particular flood that happened, I've talked about the flood before. Let me just bring it back again. Once upon a time, they were living together in their territory, Ugbekun territory, Omodun territory, and a great flood came. This flood made many of them to move away, displace them, and they decided to find a safe place, which was known today as the place named as Uhe, in the present-day Omola local government area of Kogi State. And they found comfort there. Our father Idu had an encounter with God and led many people. The people who believe in him, in Oghéné, followed him. The God that telling you is Oghéné followed him, and he covered those people, and security was sure for them. Later on, he had other children right there. After his first son known as Aka, and the one who also went to the place known as Oronigbe, we were all birthed in their original territory before the flood happened. And later on, he had other sons there from an Igala woman which we know today as Efa and Emein. In fact, the word Efa is pure Igala. It means bull, to fight, to battle. So our father had children right there. 5 children. Why he already had 2. A lady was the first. Then later a girl was the first. Then a boy was the second. This boy is known as Aka. So Aka and the sister from the same father, the same mother, you are seen as Isiaka people. Then Efa and Emein had mother from Igala. Then the Igala territory, Igala were known as Algara, and they were very strong, mighty in powers then. And that was the place people fled to for safety because of the uphill, the rock escaping from the flood. So that hill was so much that helped the people, but it was God that made it to be possible. So our father had children right there, and one of these sons is known as Efa, who became mightier in powers. And there was also an Igala man who was present as witness. It was known as the Ajama, but in here we refer it to become Azama. Ajama is also from the Igala word. And later, at the demise of our father Idu, he was buried there, and he was referred to Oghéné Ruhe, where he was buried. Oghéné means the supreme deity of our ancestors, which we believe. So himself was seen as the god of Uhe, and he was buried there. And later on, Aka, who was supposed to take over from his throne to become the next chief priest, traditionalist, Obu of everybody, was deprived of his right. So Aka leaded his brothers, his younger brothers, with his sister to come back home. Some of Aka's sisters, through the other wife, married in that territory. That is why you see the people of Idoma. If you go to Kaduna, current day Kogi State, they still pay allegiance to the word Idu. They use the word Idu, Idu, Idu. It was through our daughters. Now, the one that we were able to move here, Efa Emein, Aka's elder sister, and they arrived in the present day, what you know as Benin. But the word Benin started in 1170 by Romeo, whose father was Ududua, generally known as Ekeledaran, who was our self-exiled prince. So that was why the name Benin came. So before Benin, there was Igodomigodo kingdom, which was established by Ogiso Igodo. Ogiso Igodo was an Urhobo man from Udo. His father's name is known as Rudu, which means the heart of the matter from Udo. That was the name of the father of Igodo. And he established Igodomigodo kingdom in 40 BCE and ruled until 16 AD. Then his grandson took over from 16 AD to 66 AD, known as Ogiso Ere. Then Ogiso Orire, the son of Ogiso Ere, ruled from 66 AD to 100 AD before there was an interregnum. They decided to say, no, this primogeniture system for father to elder son must stop, coming from the Efa. And that resulted to some problems that happened. There was an agreement among themselves until the time of Oriogba, who happens to be the 23rd king. Do not forget, Oriogba was not the son of Ogiso Ediaye. Oriogba was from Efa lineage. These were the people who interrupted the lineage of Aka, and so many things happened. But this is not what we are talking about. Later, I'll tell you the history of Ogiso and the Igodomigodo kingdom. Let's go back. So Aka, Efa, and Emein returned from Uhe, which is currently Kogi territory, and arrived at their original territory and established themselves. Establishing themselves, Aka decided to name a new foundation, which we know today as Ogbe Laka, the ancestral home of everybody. Remember, the flood took away many of their original territory and flushed it off. During the flood, many things were created. The topography of the land were changed. Erosion happened. Rivers were created. Many big and smaller water bodies were created. The Sopomba River and many things were created as well. Who knows whether that is what resulted to the Ethiopian